We're going to get right into it. Welcome to K.E.S. Club. I'm Brian Ferguson.
Nick Desjardins.
Rob Thackeray.
Rob Thackeray.
Book it.
I like it.
I would say probably the second largest event in pro wrestling of the year is happening.
Yes.
January the 4th.
Next Wednesday? Thursday? Next Thursday.
Thursday in America. I don't know what day that is in Japan.
Still Thursday in Japan.
Okay.
But it starts on our Wednesday, technically.
Okay. So this is basically the Japanese WrestleMania.
Yes.
There's a lot more renewed attention towards this, especially in the Americas, because of Chris Jericho calling out the head of the Bullet Club, Kenny Omega.
Correct.
And it has been incredibly public in a way that we have not seen this happen. It also helps that Mark Cuban owns the company that shows New Japan in America.
Right.
So we're gonna let Nick talk because he actually follows this kind of stuff and we're gonna try to explain what the fuck is going to be happening.
Thackeray's giving me a great look right now.
I don't even know who
Nick
this guy's name.
wrote down
Kushida.
Kushida. Yeah, it's
One of
just
the most.
Kushida.
His. I'm sorry. You can continue. I'm just. This shit is so goofy and I love it.
Apparently, there's a guy named Kushida in Taguchi, Japan, which is a stable in New Japan, who has a love of Back to the Future.
And that is his gimmick. He is the time splitter, Kushida. All caps, no first name, just Kushida. Legitimately wears the Marty McFly vest to the ring.
Oh my god.
He is also...
You got a life preserver?
I also, 2 weeks ago, saw him do a Spanish fly into an arm bar.
That's insane.
So that's exciting. So I in an effort to get Brian and Rob caught up for New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 12 this week, I have created like a 13-page fucking set of notes.
We might share this because it's a lot of notes. And
It definitely is.
fun.
So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to give you sort of a basic rundown of the card and each match that is going to happen on Wrestle Kingdom 12. Think of it as New Japan's WrestleMania. It sort of caps off their season, so to speak, because the next night you'll have
Yeah, I've been hearing about this, and it's fucking crazy what they do, because the weirdest thing to me, and to apparently a lot of insiders about New Japan, is that they sign one-year contracts,
Correct.
or they might have longer than that contracts, but the weird thing about it is all of their contracts expire on the same day.
Yes.
Which is a great way to lose a bunch of people simultaneously.
Which has happened
a bunch of times with AJ Styles and the Good Brothers moving over to WWE. All happened at once.
Nakamura at the same time too.
Nakamura, Balor, lots of them.
That is how this happens. It is something that they're going to have to change in the future. But yeah, 2 years ago after Wrestle Kingdom, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson all signed with WWE. It was, and for some reason that didn't change the way they're doing business, because I believe Michael Elgin, War Machine, and I don't think Kenny's is up yet. I think they've signed Kenny to a 2-year contract.
I don't think Kenny's going anywhere.
I don't expect it to happen. Not for another year or two.
I think that if we see Kenny go, I would expect to see Kenny and the Young Bucks go simultaneously.
Yes.
And I think that both, or as long as there's the cross-platform deal with Ring of Honor and New Japan,
right?
They're not going to main roster. They've already caused enough of a stink with WWE to really start going anywhere.
I don't
Unless
think
if
WWE don't
WWE
like
decides that
spot
they would
monkeys.
like some of that T-shirt money.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think while you still have Vince at the helm of creative, I don't think the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega will go. I
But
think they need the sort
Trips
of...
takes it. Trips has been allowing people to come in and just be like, "Oh, you were this. Here's your gimmick. Do your gimmick. If people know your gimmick, it'll get you over immediately."
I can very much see that. I believe they would both... I believe those three would skip NXT and immediately come to the main roster as a stable. I would be surprised if they didn't.
I would not understand if they did not do an NWO gimmick immediately upon coming to WWE.
Sure, absolutely.
Especially because they've been doing it already.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
Literally standing outside of arenas where WWEs have been and just selling shirts.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, if you get the chance, they also have a YouTube show, Being the Elite,
where
which
they
is
just do goofy shit.
absolutely, and it has a running storyline that is actually played into matches, which is fucking ridiculous.
Is there? Do I need to follow this?
Apparently, grown men watch it.
It's worth watching. It's pretty funny. You also get a look at other Bullet Club members like Cody Rhodes, of course, and Hangman Adam Page, whose gimmick was originally that he was a rough and tough guy with a noose from Virginia, and now Hangman has come to be the member of the Bullet Club with the biggest dick, hence Hangman Page.
Oh, Jesus.
That is now the gimmick. It's kind of hilarious.
Is Cody Rhodes' new gimmick that he's max talking headroom?
Oh, basically.
Because that's what he looks like.
That is basically what's going on there.
You're too young to get that reference.
That's for all of our older listeners.
It's just us.
So yeah, I will basically sort of run down the card here for Wrestle Kingdom 12. Our first match is going to be the New Japan Rumble
with crocodiles.
With crocodiles,
yes.
It is like a Royal Rumble match. It is very inconsequential. It's basically it's a pre-show match to get guys on the card and get them a payday.
Did the WWE steal this with the Andre?
They didn't.
Okay.
New Japan actually stole the New Japan actually stole the Rumble concept.
Okay, so this one isn't for any stakes, really?
No.
Or so it's just like...
It's just bragging rights for the winner.
Okay.
You'll see.
So it's closer to like the Andre the Giant
That's
Battle
what I was
Royal than
talking
it
about,
is.
yeah.
Absolutely. You'll see some sort of bigger New Japan stars. You'll see a lot of the undercard
I
guys.
would love if the Royal Rumble had less stakes, because this whole like nonsense where you have to put your top guy as the winner is...
It takes the fun out of the Rumble.
It kind of does.
Nonsensical.
I love seeing fun shit.
Last year,
The middle of the show is always the best part of the show.
absolutely, without question. This match is entirely inconsequential. It's to get people on the card. Last year you had Michael Elgin win. Who we'll talk about Michael Elgin later, but
It's a fun match for people who don't know anybody to learn everybody at
absolutely,
once.
absolutely. You'll get some Ring of Honor guys. You'll get some last year Scott Norton, who you might remember from the NWO at one point, who was a big draw in Japan for some reason. Scott Norton was in the New Japan Rumble, just having fun. But our first match on the card is probably going to be one of the most exciting matches as far as I'm concerned. It's going to be for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship.
You do love you some Young Bucks.
I do love the Young Bucks. So what we're getting here is the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, representing the Bullet Club. They will be competing against Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo, who are members of K.E.S. and currently your champions. There's a story behind this. Basically, Roppongi 3K are a successor to the previous tag team Roppongi Vice, which was Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta. Roppongi Vice were the previous junior heavyweight tag team champions who lost to the Young Bucks. They basically, Rocky Romero retired them so that Trent could go off and be a heavyweight. Rocky is now a manager, sometimes wrestler, for Sho and Yo, who are two young lions who returned and immediately won the championship in a very, very impressive match. They have been defending these belts, and lo and behold, who should come out but want to challenge for them but the current most decorated junior tag team in New Japan Pro Wrestling, the Young Bucks. And of course, the Young Bucks, having had a rivalry with Roppongi 3K or Roppongi Vice, that sort of gives them story and stake in this match. Expect a lot of high flying moves here, a lot of spots. It's the Young Bucks. They're spot monkeys.
It's what they do.
It's what they do.
You absolutely love the Young Bucks.
I really do.
Appreciate the Young Bucks.
Sure.
It's not necessarily my style. They have a
I appreciate how colorful their shirts are.
Fair. Yeah.
They have a spot that they did with like the 8-person drop kick spot, and I just or there were like some MMA, or there was an MMA fighter who was like, "This is the dumbest thing ever," and literally started a Twitter fight with the Young Bucks,
which
who
is
were
a
like,
bad call.
How many shirts have you sold lately?
Right.
So I appreciate their spunk. It's not necessarily something that I really consider or that I enjoy personally.
Sure.
But I'm not going...
I mean, the whole reason why I really enjoyed the SmackDown Fatal or like trio match that we had was because it was a spot fest, and I think this seems right up my alley.
You can expect less comedy in this match.
This one's going to be a little bit more serious. I saw a match of them from TNA. Mm-hmm. I cannot remember what it was, or a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I think it was before they were called the Young Bucks, or they might have only been called the Young Bucks in New Japan at the time, or Ring of Honor at the time. because somebody calls them these young bucks.
Yeah.
One of the commentators. I don't know anything about TNA.
You're not missing much.
But like watching that match and just it's nonstop.
Yeah.
It's just spot after spot after spot. There are no more. The longest break of things is the 3 count at the end.
Sure. And realistically, that's what you can expect here. I think because it's Wrestle Kingdom, because it is it's in Japan, 2, it is a big match. You won't see as many comedy spots as you would in, say, PWG or Ring of Honor with the Young Bucks. They're going to bring their A game because this is realistically it's the biggest show they're going to perform on all year. This is their big payday for the year. So expect a lot of spots, a lot of good, fluid, fast flips, hard hits, a lot of super kicks. That's going to be this match, and I'm thinking the Young Bucks take it so that Roppongi 3K can chase, because the face is always better when they're chasing the belt rather than holding the belt.
For sure. Yeah.
So that should be this match.
WWE disagrees.
Well, look how that's going. So next we're gonna have the Never Openweight 6-man tag team championship elimination match, which is a tongue twister.
What's a Never Openweight?
This one killed my fucking brain when he was explaining it to me earlier. First off, the Never Openweight 6-man tag team championship elimination match is a lot.
Yeah.
And then he was like, they're all gonna, oh my God.
Okay, so to explain the Never Openweight belts, there are 2 Never Openweight belts in Japan. New Japan is very, very adamant about keeping their divisions as divisions. You as a junior heavyweight do not compete for heavyweight belts outside of being a huge star like AJ Styles or Kenny Omega. So, the Never Openweight belt was created so that junior heavyweights and heavyweights could intermingle for a championship match.
So like when Jeff Hardy was competing for like the World Heavyweight Championship,
right?
When that doesn't make any sense back when he was on heroin and he was never breaking 180,
correct?
But going up against the Undertaker,
right?
It would have been something like that.
110 pounds soaking wet.
This is their storyline reason for having one of those matches, because one of the big problems with something like Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor is nobody realistically thinks that Finn can win because of the size and power
literally
difference.
100 pounds.
Finn's small.
Right. You wouldn't see that match in New Japan, but they could compete for the Never Openweight belt, which is okay. You think you can go for it? Fucking go for it. So there are 2 Never Openweight belts. There's the main heavyweight belt, and then there's this trios belt. It's a 6-man tag belt. Basically, teams of 3 competing against one another.
So they skip regular tag and go straight to trios.
Yeah,
that's bananas.
It was because trios matches have become more popular. It was a way to get there, and I get it. And so here you're going to see the Bullet Club, who are the current champions. You'll see Bad Luck Fale, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa. They will be defending against Beretta, Tomohiro Ishii, and Toru Yano from K.E.S. The Gaijin team of Michael Elgin and War Machine, which is Warbeard Hansen and Raymond Rowe.
God, I think just based on names, I want them to win.
Warbeard
Hansen sounds like a really cool guy.
He's basically Killian Dane with some face paint and less body hair.
Oh, I want that.
That's pretty great. We'll also have Suzuki-Gun, which is going to be Takashi Iizuka and Zack Sabre Jr. And
one of those things is not like the other.
Yes, one of those things is very small and British. And of course, we'll also have Taguchi Japan, which this year will be.
We'll let this white guy in here.
We'll have Raisuke Taguchi, Togi Makabe, and Juice Robinson. One of those things is also not like the others.
Juice is black, right? There's no way the Juice isn't black.
Oh, Juice is a white guy with dreads.
Oh, that's way worse.
He's pretty great, though. He did get in a little trouble in CMLL for saying that he was going to go, after winning a match, saying he was going to go balls deep in some Japanese pussy.
Did he?
Yep, sure did. He won a match, and that was what he was going to do.
With a hand motion and everything?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, it was pretty great. He's actually
I think I want them to win.
This
Warbeard Hansen is great, but I like
you changed your mind. Every team that you've heard, you were like, I want them to win, and then you were like, no. These guys, no.
All it took was
definitely
balls deep in Japanese pussy, and that's what sold him.
Yep.
So this is going to be an elimination match. Basically, the Bullet Club are going to have to run a gauntlet here. How this will work is you'll have the Bullet Club come out, and then you'll have one of the other teams. They will compete. One team will get pinned, and then immediately the next team will come out. That will carry on until no teams are left. This realistically should be. This is a way to get guys into the main card. It's going to be a lot of spots. Everyone should be at the top of their game because you shouldn't be seeing a lot of chain wrestling, a lot of back and forth. You're going to see a lot of spots here.
Yeah.
I like this because in kayfabe, you don't see a lot of gauntlet matches anymore in the WWE, and I think that it's really kind of a missed opportunity because they always talk about like
the only thing we have is Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
But realistically, that's just like a glorified
6-man
fatal 5-way or whatever.
And this
one, Bullet Club are the champions,
and the underdogs.
They're also the least likely winners.
Right, and which is crazy because they legitimately just picked up the belt 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And given the caliber of that team, Bad Luck Fale is basically the gatekeeper for Bullet Club. He's your dragon, so to speak. He's right above your Kenny Omega, or right under your Kenny Omega, excuse me. And then Tama Tonga.
Also, he's or they only have like 2 remaining founding members.
Yes, he is one of he and Tama
Tonga, right?
are your founding members of Bullet Club, and so. You have some real star quality and star caliber there. Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, who are our brothers and also cousins to Roman Reigns, the sons of former WCW WWE wrestler King Haku / Ming, if you remember him from WCW. They are really, really talented, far more talented than their cousin, as far as I'm concerned. They are former IWGP heavyweight champions multiple times. So there's star caliber.
How long have these guys been wrestling?
They have been. Tama's a 7-year veteran, and then Tongaloa actually competed in the WWE a few years ago as Camacho. A sort of Hispanic style wrestler, which he is not. He's Tongan.
So they have you said the IWGP World Heavyweight is what they've had.
They've had the IWGP Tag Team Championship.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say because I thought what's his face was held it
No.
for a million years.
Okada has held it for a million years. No, they were former Tag Team champions. They've held it for a long time.
I got you.
But anyway, my prediction here is Bullet Club. Honestly, I feel like they're going to take it just because they just got the belts.
There's so many matches with Bullet Club in them. I'm kind of wondering if you're going to
just predict
sweep. Bullet Club sweep.
I don't.
We'll find out.
I'm not calling for a Bullet Club sweep. Don't worry.
I have a hunch that I'd see a match where Bullet Club may not win, but we'll see. What is the special singles match you got written down here?
Okay,
you got
so
Cody, who is Cody Rhodes.
Right.
He is no longer allowed to use his last name.
Right. He is just Cody.
What happened was
why?
he was flying to Japan and it got lost in customs.
Yes.
His name?
Yes.
His name got lost in customs.
Yes.
No, he's barred from using Rhodes as his last name.
I don't know because I was like, everything's so crazy that I was like, oh yeah,
I
definitely
believe
just
that.
Japan booking that he's not allowed to have his last name because he lost it in customs.
No, WWE is preventing that because, of course, Cody's last name is technically Runnels.
Yeah.
Dustin Runnels, Dusty Runnels, and Cody Runnels, but he is not allowed to use Rhodes. WWE has trademarked it and will not let him have it.
Oh God, that's so petty.
It's definitely a spite move.
Well, because keep in mind that Cody requested his release.
Yes.
He was not released. He asked for it.
Yes.
And
I hope Ziggler comes over and they both have like a crazy spot fest
I
like
fully
feud for
expect
like
that.
a year and a half, and it's gonna be great.
And he goes by Nicky again because his name is Nick.
Yeah, Nick Nemeth. So anyway, this was originally for the Ring of Honor World Championship. However, Cody just recently lost that to Ring of Honor wrestler, the Party Peacock, Dalton Castle. That's his name. That's his gimmick. It's great. Look him up.
It's like Adam Rose.
Yes, but better.
Okay.
Significantly better.
I got you.
But you'll be seeing Cody Rhodes take on Kota Ibushi. So the story behind this is Cody has sort of been vying to be top dog in the Bullet Club since coming into the Bullet Club. He can't quite usurp Kenny Omega.
Because he's not as good.
Accurate. Completely accurate.
Because Cody thinks that he is a headlining performer, but
And he's
really
not.
he's top mid.
Coda or Cody?
Fight me on that, Marks. He's
Which
not.
one?
Cody Rhodes.
So Cody, since becoming into the Bullet Club, thinks that he should be the guy instead of Kenny Omega.
Correct.
And this isn't just in kayfabe. This is very much like if you listen to him talk, like in interviews and in podcasts and things like that, he's very much been running his mouth as though he's the greatest fucking guy in pro wrestling. He did a podcast where he was talking about like why he left WWE, and it was basically him saying, I should have been the top guy,
right?
But they wanted people like CM Punk or John Cena to be the top guy, and we're like, you're Cody.
You're all right.
Your name is Cody, and it fits you because you're bland.
Accurate. Yeah, he's a fine wrestler.
No, he is a very good in-ring performer. He is also like the milk of performers.
Yes. Accurate. The story of this match is Cody is fighting Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi is Kenny Omega's former tag team partner before joining the Bullet Club. Kota Ibushi is sort of world famous for never settling with one company because he's kind of a weirdo vagabond. That's what he does. He was in the Cruiserweight Classic. He's been in DDT Pro Wrestling. He's competed all over the world. He never signs a long-term contract with one company. He just doesn't. So he never gets pushed as the top guy, which he easily could. Kota, since coming back to compete in the G1 last year. This is going to
get very complicated very quickly.
It will. Ibushi. We'll refer to Kota as Ibushi. So Cody versus Ibushi. Ibushi and Kenny have kind of been teasing a sort of...
Maybe he joins, maybe he doesn't.
Right. They re-teaming, but not re-teaming. To the point that Kenny Omega has actually sort of included some Kota Ibushi art into his tights. At the G1, which was kind of they're teasing
that's something that I really do love about people who have come out of New Japan is just like the visible show of respect that they have, not only necessarily for the company that they came from. You see that with
AJ Styles is
AJ Styles
comes to
has the Japanese characters.
Yep. Gallows and Anderson too.
Gallows and Anderson both have it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Finn Balor came over with the Balor Club, he couldn't really squeeze anything else out of it, and it wouldn't, or he doesn't wear enough to be able to put any Japanese on him.
Right.
You see but also the respect that they have towards the people who they came up with.
Absolutely.
With hashtag BC on Gallows and Anderson's knee pads.
Dead call out there.
Or even the fact that that the Young Bucks are still doing hashtag FTR.
Yep, absolutely. It's
which is hashtag fuck the revival, if you don't know.
Oh, did they feud with the Revival?
They want to feud. Like, they want to wrestle one another.
Okay.
The Revival plays into it on Twitter. It's great.
Cool.
So I absolutely love that because you don't really see that anymore. Like, you didn't see a whole lot of it. And really, you haven't seen a whole lot of it since the Monday Night Wars with DX calling out how shitty Hall and Ash are being treated over in WCW.
It's very much guys who really, really respect the industry.
It's people who not only love the industry, but love the people who they came up with and traveled with and worked with.
Which it's great to see that.
It is. It really, really is.
So yeah, Cody's not fighting with Kenny, but he's kind of like being shitty to Kenny. Is what you're saying?
And so fighting Ibushi
the Bullet Club spans across all these promotions at this point. So he's part of the Bullet Club, even though the Bullet Club started in New Japan.
Correct.
And he is a Ring of Honor guy.
Right.
So, okay.
When Cody sort of took over for Adam Cole in that Cody is the American Bullet Club leader.
That's what I thought, because I thought Adam Cole was a Bullet Club leader, but he's not like listed among the Bullet Club like leaders because he's not a New Japan Bullet Club leader.
And so this is sort of a way for Cody to get Kenny without actually having to get at Kenny. And that's sort of the story here. I don't expect Cody to go over. Ibushi is a very, very big name.
Do you see the possibility of Cody being removed from the Bullet Club?
I don't. What I sort of expect. I don't expect a Bullet Club split this year per se, but I do expect some in club warring to happen. I think that's going to be a big storyline going forward.
In the future.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever fully split the Bullet Club because of how fucking good merch sales are. Oh, yeah. It would be foolish to split them up, honestly.
I think we all own versions of Bullet Club merch at this point.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't see that split happening, but I see Ibushi taking this just because he's the better wrestler, just straight up.
That's fair.
So after this, we have the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. You get Killer Elite Squad from Suzuki-Gun, which is Davey Boy Smith Jr., the British Bulldogs kid.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And he's teaming with a big hairy guy named Lance Archer.
I love that.
The American Psycho Lance Archer.
I love that less.
And they'll be competing with...
He's got to return some videotapes.
He really, really likes Huey Lewis in the news. So they'll be competing against Evil and Sonata from LIJ. Evil and Sonata just won the World Tag League tournament to get this match.
Okay.
It should be a fine match. They're very different teams. It's basically sort of bruisers versus a very technical wrestler and a very sort of
is this the Evil wrestler that has like the full like
literally the only evil that's in there?
Evil will come out with a scythe and a fucking robe and a laser pointer. It's so gimmicky, but it's great.
I love how every match has a different, or like it feels like almost every match has a different tone. Like I would almost predict this to be a sillier match than other ones. Just because
I could see that.
The matches that I saw with Evil were a little bit more goofy, a little bit more gimmicky.
Sure.
Not as serious as other ones.
He's a brawler. He's not an overwhelmingly technical wrestler by any means. I would not be surprised to see some plunder in this match in the form of table or chair or maybe ring bell. It's going to be a fine match. It's probably the match on the card I'm the least excited for, just because there's not a whole lot of story going into it, because the story really basically is these teams haven't competed. It's for the belts, and one of them won World Tag League. Right. Out of this, I'm expecting. I don't remember who I predicted for this.
Killer Elite Squad is what you have.
Okay, so I'm expecting Killer Elite Squad to win, but only because I expect Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa to come out and sort of push a Bullet Club Suzuki-Gun feud out of this, because they've been feuding for the past few months, and it's not really resolved.
Okay.
So that's what I expect to happen there. Next is a match that I did not expect to be excited for, but I kind of am. So we're getting the Never Openweight World Championship match, which is a hair versus hair match.
God, this is right up my alley.
You're getting Minoru Suzuki, who is your champion, versus Haruki Goto.
I can't think of a hair match that I've ever cared about.
I've been booking hair matches.
You have.
It really is right up his alley.
I saw a hair match and I was like, this has to be a joke.
The two people in this room with the longest hair are the most excited for the hair versus hair match.
Because it matters.
That's true.
It does. So the story behind this is Goto.
My hair is currently like the longest that it's ever been in my life.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Holy damn.
Is like the longest that's ever been.
I don't remember when my hair was that short, honestly.
It's the fact that I can like see my hair if I like put it over my forehead.
Sure.
It's crazy.
Fair enough.
Cut it all off.
So this match is very
masculine, Brian.
The story behind this match is early last year, Haruki Goto lost the Never Openweight belt to Minoru Suzuki. Minoru Suzuki is your faction leader for Suzuki-Gun. He is the de facto heel of the company.
Okay.
He's a former shoot fighter. He's very well respected. He's terrifying. He's not necessarily the most imposing wrestler, but he scares the shit out of people because when he beats you up or when he's fake beating you up, it looks like he's fucking real beating you up. And
I love pro wrestling so much.
It's great. So the story going into this is that Goto really can't win the big one ever. He just doesn't. That's sort of his character. He's never won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He's challenged for it like 10 times. He's sort of the gatekeeper in K.E.S, but he just doesn't win the big one.
He's like Dolph Ziggler before, up until like a week ago.
Right, yeah.
Of like the guy who you beat to get to the big boss.
Absolutely. That is Goto's fucking gimmick to a T. And so he and Suzuki are competing in this match, and he's been dogging Suzuki to get a chance to get this belt back. And finally, he got Suzuki to agree to it by offering to put up his hair. And so they agreed to a hair versus hair match. And this is a big deal in Japan because it's like a mask versus mask match in Mexico. Having your head shaved in Japan is seen as very, very public humiliation. It is akin to going back and being a pupil, a young boy again. And so for two basic veterans, a 40-year-old and a 53-year-old, it's a big deal. This won't be a very spot-heavy match as far as high-flying or anything like that, but it should be a fucking stiff match. Both K.E.S. And Suzuki-Gun are banned from ringside for this match, so I expect a table spot or a chair spot, some plunder. I also expect that Minoru Suzuki is going to lose. Suzuki?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's nasty, though. I expect Suzuki, who has a particularly bad haircut right now, to lose his hair.
He's getting a little bit older.
Storyline-wise, it makes a lot of sense for Goto to finally eke out a big one. Suzuki is not going to be hurt losing this, and if anything, it fuels his character to sort of be humiliated like that. It makes him more...
Even meaner?
Exactly. Exactly. So it just makes a lot of sense.
Shit.
Next is a match I'm very, very, very excited for. Four-way matches do not happen in Japan, as in four-way singles matches. And so for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, we're getting the villain, Marty Scurll from the Bullet Club. He's going to take on Hiromu Takahashi from Los Ingobernables de Japón. And he'll be fighting two K.E.S. members, Kushida and Will Ospreay. There is a lot of booking in this match. So originally, Takahashi beat Kushida for the belt last year at Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay.
Held it for about 6 months. Eventually lost.
Who has the belt now?
Marty Scurll.
Okay.
So
currently, Bullet Club is holding like virtually every title with the exception of like two of them.
They have the Never belt and they have this one, and that's it for now.
I thought that they had the tag or like all the tag belts right now.
They don't. They don't have the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Belt because they lost it to Killer Elite Squad.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I expect that to change this year. So anyway, Takahashi takes the belt from Kushida last year at Wrestle Kingdom. Kushida tries and tries and tries and finally gets it back 6 months later, only to immediately lose it to a friendly challenge from stablemate Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay then loses the belt almost immediately to the man he has never beaten, the villain Marty Scurll. So now, in between that, you have Ospreay feuding with Takahashi because Takahashi thinks that Will Ospreay is a cat. I'm not making this up.
Like a literal cat?
Like a literal cat.
Okay. Like whiskers and shit?
Yes. Hiromu Takahashi's gimmick is that he's fucking crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really love that this seems to be a gimmick that multiple people share in New Japan.
You are correct.
That like, if you cannot, or in the same way that like you write somebody as, or in WWE is like a big unstoppable giant because that's what they hire, but they obviously don't know how to write for.
Yes.
Japan is just like, let's just make him a crazy person.
Fuck it, you're crazy now.
Let's just imagine that we found a homeless person in Tokyo.
Yes.
Screaming in in like an intersection, and we made that person a pro wrestler.
Correct. Well, Takahashi's valet to the ring is a stuffed cat named Daryl.
I love that.
I'm not making this up. He walks to the ring and waves its little
Just
paw
quick question.
at the audience.
How much is it per month for me to watch New Japan every day?
It is less than $9.99.
$9.99.
And realistically, you only have one or two things to see from New Japan a month, so it's kind of great. But anyway, this match, everyone has been feuding with everyone. This should be an amazing match. All four of these guys are incredibly talented. Will Ospreay is probably the best aerial guy in the world right now. Again, I saw Kushida do a fucking Spanish fly into an armbar 2 weeks ago.
I don't see Marty Scurll taking this match.
Brian has this dude's shirt.
I do have a shirt.
I would like to see Marty Scurll win, just because he is the sort of odd man out here. He's the least high flyer. He's very much the old school classic villain. He does a great sort of finger break spot If you haven't seen it, it's amazing. Will Ospreay takes it beautifully. But I expect Will Ospreay to pick this one up. I think the sort of storyline going into this is...
I don't know what it is about like British people and having a spot for like stepping on people's fingers.
Yes.
But it seems to be a thing.
Yep.
Pete Dunne does it also. I think that Gallagher does it sometimes, now that he's
a heel. I think so.
Has done it.
To me, the storyline that makes the most sense is Will Ospreay can't beat Marty Scurll. Have him do it on the big stage. That's easy booking right there. So I'm that's what I'm predicting here.
Or even take the belt without having to pin.
Yeah, doesn't even have to. Yeah, he could.
Doesn't have to beat Scurll.
It could be interesting if he pins Kushida, because then you have a feud within your own faction, which doesn't happen very often.
My favorite thing about Marty Scurll is that his name is the most impossible thing for Japanese people to pronounce, and that's why he kept it.
Yes, yes, he specifically did not change his name so that he could, so that it would be difficult for the Japanese audience.
So, like,
because he's a villain.
For perspective, Finn Balor's real name is Fergal Devitt.
Yes.
He changed his name to Prince Devitt.
Correct.
It was originally going to be King Devitt, but they said that he was too young to be a king.
Correct.
So he would be a prince.
Right.
They changed his name, or they dropped his first name because Fergal is a really difficult name to pronounce.
R's and L's.
Japan.
No bueno.
Because of R's and L's. Marty has 3 R's and L's in a row.
Oh yeah, all back to back.
In a way that Americans would probably struggle pronouncing it.
He's often announced as Marty Scurll. If you're a Marvel fan, you'll appreciate that.
I am, and I do.
So after that, we have the...
Do we know he's not a Skrull?
Not for sure.
Okay, I think he might be too short to be a Skrull, but I can't guarantee that.
I don't know. We'll find out.
So after that, we have the third to last match on the card. We have Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Switchblade Jay White. The interesting thing about this match is...
I'm an unknown.
Yes, Jay White does not have a stable right now. He's just returned to New Japan. So the thing here is, one, this is kind of a slap in the face for Tanahashi. Think of Tanahashi as the Japanese John Cena. For a long time, he was the ace of New Japan. He's billed as the once-in-a-century talent. He's headlined or co-headlined the last 10 Wrestle Kingdoms.
Out of 12?
Yes. For him to be third on the card is a big deal. And so that's kind of a slap in the face for him. He's also he's getting older. Okada is now sort of the face of New Japan, so he's been usurped there. And so you have him coming into this match injured and now competing with Jay White. Jay White was a former young lion who came to America and traveled the world to wrestle for a few years, is now returning to New Japan as Switchblade Jay White, and immediately called out Hiroshi Tanahashi, who was his mentor as a young lion. And Jay White is basically saying, your time is up. It's my time now. Sort of a basic pro wrestling story, but very unexpected. No one just expected Jay White to come back as quickly as he did. Very talented sort of aerial guy. His finishing move is the Sister Abigail, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
It's called something different because it wouldn't make sense if it was called
right.
Abigail.
No, it'd probably make just as much sense.
Well, I don't know that the Japanese can pronounce Sister Abigail, so I believe they've changed it for that. But I'm honestly not sure which way this match is going to go. It should be a great match, but Tanahashi's going in injured, and it doesn't necessarily make sense for Jay White to lose after coming in, but Jay White will look just as good getting a bunch of near falls and losing. Could go either way. Should be a good match. After this, we have the co-main event for the night.
This is a match that's selling, or that's really getting.
It is selling tickets.
American audiences involved.
Yes.
It's not to sound shitty, but this is the reason why I want to watch this.
Sure. No, I completely understand.
I think that Thackeray probably feels about the same way.
I don't know. After all this, I could give a shit about Chris Jericho.
It's going to be really exciting.
I'm always going to want to see Chris Jericho in a gimmick change.
There's some beard
100% of the
guy
time
doing
War
a thing.
beard.
Yeah.
There's
some
a
guy who wants some
named
bona fide
Warbeard.
Japanese pussy.
Yeah.
And that's just one match.
That's just one match.
One of them.
Warbeard and Japanese pussy.
Want this.
And that's the episode title. So No, so this should be really exciting. This is Chris Jericho's first match in New Japan Pro Wrestling since 1997.
Yeah, because I know he wrestled in Japan along with like a lot of the other
Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, a lot of the come-uppers.
Yes,
and he hasn't been there since he left, like you said.
Right.
So it's a big deal.
Yes, and of course, believe it or not, WWE is bigger in Japan than New Japan is, because it's the number one company in the world, and so Chris Jericho coming to New Japan is a very, very big deal.
It's not a big thing for New Japan people to go over to WWE. It's a big thing for WWE to go to. I mean, it's almost the same as like the fact that TNA and Impact were grabbing people
right
as they were leaving.
Let's get Kurt Angle.
The difference is that Chris Jericho, while being a veteran, is still at the top of his game.
Absolutely.
Compared to before.
He held the title in his most recent
recently.
US heavyweight.
He was a US Pro or US champ.
Yeah.
And so this is interesting because the gimmick this first off, this is a no disqualification match, which doesn't happen very often. But the gimmick is Chris Jericho thinks he's the best in the world. And Kenny Omega had such an incredible 2017, he can kind of lay claim to being the best in the world. And so this match should be incredibly interesting. It's for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship, and this match could honestly go either way depending on what Chris Jericho wants to do. I can very much see Kenny Omega taking this. Kenny Omega is a huge, huge star in Japan. He's one of the top 3 guys in the company.
Initially, I would have been hard-pressed to say that Chris Jericho is going to take the win on this.
Right.
Because I kind of figured that it would be a one-and-done kind of thing.
Sure.
But the issue is that Chris Jericho is currently booking a cruise.
Right.
That cruise isn't until October.
Right.
And that cruise involves Ring of Honor.
Absolutely.
Which means that Vince being Vince, it would be very unlikely to see Chris Jericho going back to the WWE until maybe the end of the year. But
right.
I would not expect to see Jericho again until next year's Rumble. 2019. Because next year's Rumble is a good place to bring him back.
Absolutely.
Especially because he has this fresh new gimmick that they've never seen in America before.
Exactly. Jericho is sort of playing this very, very vicious Chris Jericho that we haven't seen before.
There is, if anybody can think of a pro wrestler, maybe in history, who is better at reinventing himself freshly throughout their career than Chris Jericho, you would be hard pressed.
There isn't one. There definitely isn't one.
Like the only thing that I can think of is like Sting, but all that he did was change his paint.
Yeah, fair. No, you're right, and so that makes this match very, very interesting, and I think it's. What's most interesting to me about this is Chris Jericho has not wrestled a New Japan style match in 20 years. And
he's an older dude.
Yeah, and this is a hard-hitting, very fast style. And Kenny Omega has gone 60 minutes with Okada this past year, 45 minutes with Naito. Is a hard-hitting, fast-moving guy. And so this match should be very, very interesting. And I expect both of these guys to come out of this match hurt. I honestly can't make a prediction on this one. It's too hard to call because, New Japan is doing an American show in California in March, 2 weeks before WrestleMania.
It would be. I mean, I think odds are on that Kenny Omega takes this, but the surprise pop of the night here is Jericho taking this.
Right.
I mean, this next one that you're going to talk about might. I mean, if this other guy wins, that surprise pop. I'm not really sure about the thing here, but
sure.
No, I don't think anybody really expects Jericho to take this. So if Jericho takes it, it's definitely going to be huge.
Huge news. Good business.
It's really fun watching them promote this because you're seeing it from like 2 different perspectives of how to go about promotion. You have
absolutely
Kenny Omega, who is incredibly reverent of New Japan,
yes,
and has so much built-in respect for the company that has basically given him a platform.
Yes,
that you see him talking about being a co-headliner and really kind of being reserved about that because he does believe in the New Japan style of the championship match is the top match.
Right.
And then you have the Vince McMahon guy.
Yes.
Because Chris Jericho is nothing if not a company man.
Absolutely.
Who is very much of, fuck New Japan, I'm coming to town.
I'm the headline. Yeah.
I am the show.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of interesting to see that kind of, or that dichotomy of, it's almost weird in the little bit that I know of the Bullet Club to see Kenny Omega be the reserved.
Yes, absolutely.
The reserved, respectful, honor-based fighter in this match.
He's become so over with the Japanese crowd in the last year. He has to play the face role in this, even though realistically, Chris Jericho will more than likely align with K.E.S, who is your face stable. Chris is most definitely playing the heel role. And so, yeah, and what's really interesting about the way Chris is promoting this is, in a way, he's also sort of feuding with Tetsuya Naito, who we'll talk about in the next match. And if Chris is staying around, that's a match that we realistically could get. And so that makes it very interesting. Going forward, what could happen out of this match? There's a lot of repercussions.
Everything comes down to what Jericho's touring schedule with Fozzy is next year, and how much more, how hands-on he's going to have to be booked in this cruise.
Absolutely.
It all comes down to how much free time does he have to do, or to head over to Japan. But once again, that's one of those things. It's only a couple things a month.
Absolutely. Realistically, he will only have to be on the big shows, and they don't even have a big show a month.
Right.
So, I mean, it's likely we could see Chris Jericho in New Japan for the next 6 months. Now, which that may only be 6, 7, or 8 shows, but
if that.
Yeah, but nonetheless, we could see that, and it could be very interesting. And then, of course, after this, we have our IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match. Kazuchika Okada, who is our reigning defending champion, who is now the longest reigning champion in New Japan history, competing against Tetsuya Naito, who, of course, won the G1 Climax this past year. There is 4 years of booking going into this match, and I'm going to run through it very, very quickly to just sort of give you the sort of understanding of what's going on. So, Okada and Naito came up sort of at the same time out of the Young Lions system. Were sort of both primed to be top guys in New Japan. The only trouble is Naito did not get over with the fans the way that he needed to. He was basically, think about him as Roman Reigns. Very talented. He's not what the fans want. And so at Wrestle Kingdom 8, Shinsuke Nakamura competed against Tanahashi for the IWGP Intercontinental Heavyweight belt. And people were more excited to see that than they were Okada versus Naito. So the fans had a vote, basically. And what they decided was that Nakamura Tanahashi would headline instead of the heavyweight belt.
Ooh.
Okada was fine with that. Naito took it to heart because Naito was the reason that match got bumped down.
Yeah.
So for a year after that, Naito he loses the match in brutal fashion. He is not over with the crowd. The crowd is booing him. Naito doesn't know what to do. So they send Naito to Mexico for a year. They send Naito down to CMLL. Naito hooks up with La Sombra, who we now know as Andrade Cien Almas, and he joins Los Ingobernables, which is sort of the rule breaker faction in CMLL. Their gimmick is tranquilo. Basically, they don't give a fuck. That's their gimmick.
Yeah.
And then
I like it.
After a year, Naito comes back to New Japan, and Naito decides, I don't give a fuck. He starts Los Ingobernables de Japón, the Japanese version of this CMLL stable. And basically, he sort of becomes almost a Stone Cold Steve Austin type character. Naito decides, fuck this company.
And sleeves.
And sleeves. But fuck this company. You didn't believe in me. I don't give a fuck about this sort of honor and respect of Japanese culture. I'm just here to get paid. And so he goes on this crusade against the company. He starts this stable, and then he starts to feud. And he actually takes the IWGP Heavyweight Championship belt from, I believe he takes it from AJ Styles, actually. And then he loses it to Kazuchika Okada. angrily, he sort of starts going after Tanahashi, who, of course, he lost out in the main event to. He goes after Tanahashi and his Intercontinental Championship belt, a belt that he hates because it took his role at Wrestle Kingdom. He beats Tanahashi last year at Wrestle Kingdom for the IWGP Intercontinental belt, and then he fucking starts trashing it. He carries this belt for half a year, and at every show, he's throwing it up in the air.
Does he put it in a trash can and then explode it and then make it a spinner belt?
Sadly, no. But he's trashing this belt, and you can see it as time goes on that this belt it's getting chipped. And I mean, this is New Japan belts are legit fucking belts. They are 30 fucking pound belts. They have gems and stones and gold, and you can see chips coming out of this belt because the way he doesn't care. Because to him, this belt cost him his main event that he deserved. This belt represents New Japan to him. So he trashes it. And eventually, last year, he loses it to Hiroshi Tanahashi. He loses that belt, and then he wins the G1 Climax tournament, beating out Kenny Omega. And then he challenges Okada for the belt. And he finally now is getting his main event 4 years later at Wrestle Kingdom. And realistically, it doesn't make sense for him to not win this belt.
Seems like he's gonna win. Just tell how the story is
Right.
going. If he doesn't win, I don't know where he goes.
Fantasy booking, he wins the belt, pulls the Dolph Ziggler, and Scott.
And leaves the company. Realistically, though, it's hard to say because Kazuchika Okada has been booked tremendously well. He's the best booked champion in years in New Japan. Not that they've had bad booking, but he's basically become the golden boy. He is the longest reigning champion in New Japan history. So what happens in this match is anyone's guess. But it's very exciting because these are two of the top performers in the world, coming together with 4 years of story between them.
That's insane.
But there's so many stakes in it now. Like, it could go either way, but you're excited to see it just because this is 4 years of booking done tremendously well. Both of these guys are now super over. Better wrestlers than they were 4 years ago.
It would be like if Bret Hart, instead of getting injured by Goldberg in WCW,
Would have come back.
instead came back and challenged or Shawn Michaels.
Absolutely.
For the
Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. You were absolutely right. And that's sort of what this is. 4 years. I mean, I can't think of a single match in wrestling history that has had this much build up. And
I got nothing.
yeah, so it's really amazing to see what happens, and we get to see it in a week.
The closest thing that we have is like every time that Shawn Michaels turns on, or every time the Triple H turns on Shawn Michaels, except worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The split of Evolution is the thing I can think of immediately with Batista, but that's not even like
Right.
close.
It barely holds.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, it doesn't
the closest
even.
thing would be like if Batista had a grudge against Randy Orton because Randy Orton challenged or got the headline spot for the IC title instead of for Batista's
World heavyweight. Yeah.
But that didn't happen because why would we book anything interesting or compellingly in WWE?
Absolutely. And that's what we've got here. We've got 4 years of story.
That's exciting.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
your Wrestle Kingdom.
I went from like legit a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I knew about New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Sure.
I'm probably more excited for this one show
Right.
than I have been for any pay-per-view for WWE all year.
Absolutely. It's even if it's not 5-star matches the whole way, it's going to be a great show. That's what they do.
I got nothing. Tokyo Latina's hot.
Accurate. I can't argue with that.
All right.
She's got like a bunny mask on or whatever.
We're going to be back sometime next week to talk about this because we're all going to watch it probably together and fucking hold penises because that's how hard we're all going to be.
It's going to be pretty great.
Follow us on @TowersUG on Twitter. Find us on Facebook under the same name.
Listen to the main show.
Listen to our regular show. Listen to all of our stuff on the Towers Underground Network. We have a whole bunch of stuff from video games to not video games and sports and whatnot. We're doing really fun stuff here. Please like, share, comment, tell your friends.
Tell your enemies.
Tell your enemies. Let anybody that you know.
Paint kayfabe #kayfabe club on the back of your car.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do that.
Please do that.
Paint kayfabe club on the back of your boss's car.
Right. Graffiti it on buildings.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
But most importantly, Happy New Year's, you marks.